Alright, welcome back to Figurama. I took a little break for Christmas, but more figures in the Mirage series came out. The Mirage series that I absolutely adore. So today we have to look at a kind of a weird character, Savanti Romero. So let's get him open, let's check him out, let's compare him to the comic, and enjoy our plastic together. Alright, Savanti Romero. So he's a kind of a lesser known character, I guess you could say.
Pardon this interruption, but I have to say this video sounds terrible. I came back from Christmas break and my microphone broke, and I thought it wasn't broken, so I used it anyways, so the audio of this episode is not that great. I do have a new microphone. I use lapel microphones for Figurama videos. So in the future this should be fixed, but instead of totally scrapping the video or, putting it back in the box and pretending to unbox again, which doesn't make sense to me, I figured I'd still put the video up. Thank you. We now return to your regularly scheduled program.
From the Mirage series, and I actually haven't bought a Mirage figure in a while. I think the last one I got was the Wanderer, and they haven't released much since. There's been some repaints and stuff along the ways, which I'm not necessarily collecting all of, but the Mirage TMNT series, like I've said before in multiple videos, I love the Mirage series when I was younger. I have the trade paperbacks that I've talked about numerous times that I loved, I read to death when I was a kid. He's actually from book 3. Book 3 of the trade paperbacks that I have, which contain 3 issues of the original, black and white, the original Mirage comic series that I am in love with. And he is definitely a character that I'm not in love with. He's pretty darn ugly. But we're going to look at him anyways. So Savanti Romero, who is he? Well, he's in the comic book. He at one point, I guess, was in control of the, time-space sort of continuum. And this is the scepter of time that Renet stole from Lord Simultaneous. If you remember this from the unboxing of her figure. So she basically stole this scepter and started time jumping because Lord Simultaneous, found out about it. He was after her. She started time jumping. She went to this weird, timeline, this weird alternate dimension where they actually met Dave Sims Cerebus. And then while they were in that dimension, they met him. He sensed the scepter was there and he came after them to get the scepter. And part of his history, part of why he looks so ugly is he got caught before by Lord Simultaneous. And Lord Simultaneous, so he turned him into this form to punish him and sent him away to a different dimension. And fun fact about this figure, his name, Savanti Romero, is actually a homage to George Romero, Night of the Living Dead director, and then Tom Savini, which is it's a really famous horror sort of special effects artist. And you'll see a lot of inspirations like that in Eastman and Laird's early TMNT comics, which is another layer of just awesomeness from them. So, he fights with the turtles, he flashes his power a little bit, and Lord Simultaneous does come after him eventually. And even with the scepter, Lord Simultaneous is still more powerful than him. So Lord Simultaneous snaps his finger, sends him off to another dimension, and retrieves his scepter. He sends the turtles back to where they come from, and takes Renet as a sort of prisoner. But he has reappeared in the comics, the IDW comics, and I think later on in the Mirage series, if I remember correctly. So he definitely has a few appearances, but that's his base story. That's where he came from and everything. And he's definitely an interesting character. That's why I had to get him. He's part of the Mirage series. I had to get him. But enough about that, enough about the history. Let's take a look at the plastic. All right, let's get him out of here and check him out. See if he lives up to the rest of the Mirage line. Right, Savanti Romero, if I'm saying that right. You got to say it with a little accent, Italian accent. But anyways, so out of the package, right? Like he's here. This is what he looks like. He's a face only mother can love. But despite being maybe not the most interesting figure in the world, he's no Bebop, Rocksteady, Shredder, Ace Duck. But he definitely had a relatively cool part in the story. He did reappear a few times, you know what I mean? And the likeness of the figure, this likeness is spot on to what he looked like in the comic book. Like spot on. All right, this is the exact same outfit he had in the comic book too, which obviously I'm going to put pictures in here on the screen, like always. He's got the little spikes on his shoulder, so there's a lot of really good sculpt work on this, like really good details. And again, it's not that interesting of a character, so if you're going to get it, then, like, I don't think Savanti has, like, a bunch of fans, okay? Fanboys, you know what I mean? You're getting this if you love the Mirage comics and you love NECA, because this is definitely NECA quality through and through. I especially like the horns. The horns are all sculpted. It's not just painted on. The ridges that go all the way down, but it's got that dark wash on it too, and it's got, you know, some of the, you know, comic shading. Really good. It looks very realistic, very organic, very cockroachy. Is that a word, cockroachy? So the details in the line work and everything are so good, especially on the head. The head sort of, I don't know, the head and the sculpt work on the legs are definitely the two things that stand out to me first as being completely awesome. The jaw, his jaw is hinged right here, so it does open up a little bit. His part in the story, he looks like this because he tried to betray Lord Simultaneous, and Lord Simultaneous sort of cursed him to look like this. I'm so curious what he looked like before this. Was he more handsome, or was he even uglier than this before? I don't know. So let's go over the sculpting details and the paint details first. Like always, he's got those spikes on the shoulders, which are nice and pointy. They're not soft or anything. They're ow, ow, ow. If you're new to the channel, if you don't know, I love comic shading. Love comic shading. That's why I really love the Mirage series. I especially love, you know, the turtles from the Mirage series. Man, they're my favorite turtles. They're still on my desk right here, my shooting desk. Oh, I love them so much. And, you know, fits right in. Fits right in style-wise and everything. If you keep going down his arm, he does have some shaded on, you know, body hair right there. Because, you know, he had little body hair down there. Going to his chest, he's got more comic shading on his chest. That sort of red and yellow, you know, color pattern. This is the color pattern he had in the comic book. And then when you go to the legs, he's got sort of like deer legs or horse legs or something like that. He's got hooves. Hooves, that's what I'm getting at. One of the hoof animals he's got. So he's not really like a centaur or anything like that, but he's, you know, he's half bug man, half regular man, half horse man or something like that. So all this is sculpted in. So this is real fur, sculpted in, which looks really good. It's obviously got that really dark wash on it. It's got, you know, a little more shading on this side. Try to, you know, give him some shadow coming from this direction compared to the other direction. So the sculpt work is really good. The shading is really good. It gets really dark as you go down to the back. And NECA paints their joints, right? So all the joints on here fit in pretty well. These are a little bit lighter than his arms, but it doesn't stand out too much. So the legs look really good. They go down to really skinny ankles and hooves. And I think that's why he probably comes with a stand. He does come with a stand to stand him up with. And it's got to be because of the hoof. Because it's probably hard to get him to stand on these hooves. He's probably really, you know, it's probably very challenging to get him to stand. I'm sure I could do it. But he does come with a stand, like I said. So that's the first accessory I guess we're going to go over today, a stand. So yeah, man, the sculpt work is great. The details are great. It fits right into the Mirage series, for sure. Articulation-wise, he does have that articulated jaw, like I said. The neck does not articulate at the bottom. So this neck will not move at all. So his head is the only articulation you'll get. And so, you know, he is looking up pretty well. Even with these horns aren't super hard plastic. They do have some sort of, you know, a little bit of a give in there. So, you know, they're not going to block the head movement. It could go down that much. He sort of looks like an weird angry Popeye. And then obviously, you know, turns around, there's nice tilt on it too. The only thing you're not getting is bottom neck articulation. The neck is just there. It's there, not doing nothing. These shoulder pads are soft, so they don't hinder arm movement. You can, you know, move it around. The spikes do push it up quite a lot if you go up with the arm like that, but it's not too bad. There is a bicep swivel right there. So you do have the bicep swivel right there, double elbows. Single knees. The hands that he comes with are forward and backwards. And they're nice big hands. He has really beefy hands. He's only got 4 fingers. 4 fingers though. One more than the turtles. And then on the waist, he does have an articulation up top, sort of on the top torso. There is a ball in there, so it goes around and up and down quite a lot. It doesn't look like there's any articulation down here, so there is no swivel at the waist. Unless it's really stuck. I don't think so. It's not there. So his only, torso articulation is going to be the upper torso right there. So, you can get some, cool, like, action poses or whatever, but it is going to cut this design apart. You know what I mean? So, it goes down to a loincloth right here. This is semi-soft plastic. It's not super soft because it really doesn't get in the way it is. It does go down to the back, too. It doesn't really get in the way of the leg movement at all, which is actually, pretty good. Goes up about that much. You can go out. Same thing as the other side. And like I said before, there's only single knees, and they do a lot of these knee things on like the movie figures and stuff. And I understand why they did it on here. It does look really good from the front, and so they probably did it for aesthetic reasons. But he does go back at more than a 90-degree angle right there. The hooves. There is a joint right there. There is a ball joint, so it can go around, and there's some forward and backwards. So, you can get a good range of movement on here. So check out accessories. That's the basics of the body and everything. I do like the stylings for sure. Like I said before, he's not my favorite character in Mirage, but I had to have him. I love the Mirage series. First accessory is the scepter, the wand. That everybody wants. This is the wand that lets you, travel through time, go to different places, travel through time, different dimensions, gives you powers. It gave him extra power when he had it in the comic books, and I believe it was created and owned by Lord Simultaneous, and that's when Renet wanted it, and that's when he got it, and then Renet got it back, and then he got it back, and then I think it popped up a couple more times in the comic books. So, the sculpt work is really good. And if you actually compare it to the, the version of it that Renet came with, it's definitely drastically different. And maybe I'm not 100% on top of the story, I guess. And maybe it changed forms at some point or something like that. But obviously you can see it is sort of the same thing, but sort of different. This one is definitely the one that he comes with. The color scheme is a little different. This is true. This color scheme right here is actually true to the comic book. This is more attuned to Renet's color scheme in the figure, if that makes sense. Because in the comic books I have, she's got the blue uniform on, right? Which was the limited edition figure, or the signature edition figure. That was on the shelves. The original figure was the sort of, brownish, reddish, maroon color. And this matches that. But you can definitely see a size difference too, right? Like, this is definitely more monstrous. If you look at the hand up top, like, this is definitely a little more low-key than that one. This one's like huge. So I definitely think it's the same scepter for sure. I think stylistically maybe they changed it, because this definitely fits the style of his character. He is proportioned different than Renet, meaning her hands are much smaller. So this looks right in her hands, whereas this in his hands might not look right. So maybe that's why they made the changes here. But again, the details on here are really good. It looks great. The sculpt work and everything, the paint job. There's some, shading up here, some dark brown shading on the hand. It's not just plain. There's some wood grain comic shading down there. The little nub at the end is a little bit different too. So it's definitely cool. And this was the reason that he entered the comic book. He sensed this was in their dimension and came to get it. And his first energy piece is super cool. It's like that sort of bubbly look, but they really shaded it super nice. So you can see some light coming from the top, a little bit of, darkness at the bottom. I really like the shade of green. The shade in the comic book was actually purple. But again, remember when these comic books originally came out, they were completely black and white. The color didn't come in until much later. So I like it either way, to be honest with you. Purple green, it looks great on this. And this is it actually has a little notch right there. And that's because this accessory actually goes with this one. If you put it on just like that, then it goes on there. So it looks like he's sort of using the scepter. It's like an, energy discharge from using the scepter. And it looks pretty cool. I love, just the bubbly sculpt work of it. I don't know how to describe it other than that. But you can even do it like that with the top of the bubble sort of behind the thing. That looks pretty good too. I like it either way, to be quite honest, and it fits in quite well with the aesthetic of the figure. He does have another energy piece here, and this is made to go on his fist. And it fits perfectly right on there. They even gave a little cutout for the thumb. So they really modeled it straight to the punching hand right there. And again, it looks awesome. I mean, it does look a little bit like he's got a head of lettuce in his hand. Like he's going to the, he's your chef tonight and he's making you a Caesar salad. But it is a cool, very smooth, very slick, very slimy, it looks a little gooey, energy effect right there. And it looks really good. I'm definitely going to display him with that out there. And then obviously he comes with hands. He comes with hands. So there's a grippy hand. There's a grippy hand. There's an open hand. There's an open hand. So obviously the grippy hands are for the scepter. And the open hands are for anything you need an open hand for. And that, my friends, is everything in the package. So he's honestly pretty accessory light. Like, I definitely like the effects. I like his stuff, but this is literally all he comes with. He's got the stand and he has the hands, yes. But he is kind of light on accessories. He was priced a little higher than I'm used to too. He was actually $39 in the US at Target, whereas most of the other ones, $34. A couple of them have been $37 so far. So I'm not sure why he's got a higher price tag with sort of less accessories. But he is sort of a niche figure too. So I don't think maybe everyone's gonna buy this. I mean, he's not gonna be as popular as like the Turtles and Shredder and the main Foot Clan and everything. But he is a very interesting character, and he definitely was part of the Mirage series. And so, he's a worthy addition to my collection, at least. If you're wondering if he's a worthy addition to yours, then you just gotta watch this video and figure that out. So let's get to some pictures and final thoughts. Right, well, that's Savanti Romero, the newest addition to the Mirage Comics line. Other than G.I. Joe Classified, my favorite two toy lines going on right now, the Mirage series and G.I. Joe Classifieds. And it's definitely a worthy addition, I think, to the line. I really don't think he's the most interesting character. A lot of people might not even know at all who this dude is. But the sculpt work is awesome. The paint work is awesome. Accessories, very light on accessories. He does have some cool spell effects. He does have, hands. And honestly, posing him around and taking pictures and stuff, he does look very imposing. I actually do really like him. I think he's going to look great in the display based on my nostalgia, based on me knowing who he is, where he fits in with the Turtles, and where he fits in with Renet. I'm definitely glad to have him. So guys, gals, non-binary pals, I'm glad Christmas is over and I'm resuming videos on Figurama. My other gaming channel actually reached 500 subscribers before the end of the year. And I hope Figurama can do that too. And let's get there. So peace out, thank you for the support, and enjoy your plastic.